Hi guys, so I'm going to be doing a book review video. I have 8 books. Some were good, some were just okay, so let's just get right into it. So this book is called My Name is Russell Fink, a novel by Michael Snyder. And this is what it looks like. Sorry guys. This is what it looks like, and I got this book out of, all these books except for one I got out of book sales or flea market, something like that. And this one when I buy books at a book sale, I usually don't read the back or whatever. I just look at the cover and I'm like, oh, this might be a good book, and it wasn't. I thought it was going to be about this dog that's on the cover. I thought his name was Russell Fink. It was going to be about, his life, And it turns out it was about this guy, and really, nothing really. The one thing I didn't like about this book was that it kept flipping to different situations. Like, it never solved a problem before it went on to a different one. Like, the one was about, he lived with his parents, and he was like, I forget what it's called, where, like, you think you have, like, all the diseases in the world or whatever. I forget what that's called. And he always keeps taking off of work and stuff. He works for this company where they never fire anybody, and his boss really wants to fire him, but not really, because he doesn't want people to get worked up over it. But anyway, it was like these weird problems, like his family dog dies, and he gives it to he calls up one of his friends who there was about this thing about burying your pet in a day or something, and then there was this thing about his fiance or girlfriend, whatever, was being, like, he wanted to break up with her, and then she kept coming back, like, getting him back and stuff with horrible things, and then he was really wanted to get with this other girl that was his friend in college and stuff. It was like, this book, it was just boring. Like, nothing really exciting happened. And then I thought when the dog died, it was supposed to be like a mystery to see who, like, killed his dog. And if you see that black thing in the back, that's my dog. And he never, and then it was something, and then I don't know what it was. It was something where he drank or something, and his dog came back to him and was telling him that he had to make amends for whatever, like, make amends with people, because the dog never did. And it was just, and he never did that at all, like, only with one person, that was it. And it was just weird. Like, I just didn't like it. And I'm like, this is like a 400-page book, and I'm like, it shouldn't have been 400 pages because it wasn't that good of a book. Like, I thought there was going to be about a dog and his life and stuff, and it wasn't. It was about this weird guy, and it was just really, really, really bad of a book. So, this next one was good. This one is it's from my favorite series, Secrets of the Blue Hill Library. If you haven't read any of these books are really good. Like, you can read them out of order, and they all make sense. Like, nothing really changes in the books. And this is called For the Birds. It's the Secrets of Blue Hill Library. It's by Emily Thomas. Now, people, that's just a pseudonym. Other people are writing as that author. Like, a couple different, I think it's like 2 or 3 women, I don't remember. And this is what it looks like. And this is about, there's going to be this festival held by the Bird Society, or the Bird Club, the Bird Watching Club in the town. And Anne decides to have, like, their meeting at her library. Her library is, the bottom floor is the library, and the top part of this old Victorian house is where her and her family live. And there's this woman, Coraline Watson, and it's that weird person that that is, like, paranoid about stuff like that. Well, she's in this society, and she goes missing. And nobody knows why. Some people say, she goes on bird watching trips, and she doesn't tell anybody, and she comes back within a few days. And she doesn't. And so, Anne, with the help of her great-aunt's friend, her great-aunt is dead, died, and that's how she has this library in this old Victorian house. Her late great aunt's friend decides to help her, and this woman had this bird, and this bird was a yellow-naped, I think that is what it was, yellow-naped Amazon. It's kind of like this bird that's on the cover. See it right there. And they take care of it, and the bird tries to help them, like when a bad person comes, they'll say like danger, danger, and stuff like that. And then they have to find Coraline by the time this festival is, because she had all the deposits and stuff for this festival. And if they don't have the money was for they wanted to get this land taken away from this chemical company. And they wanted to use it as a wildlife preserve for, like, birds and, like, different kinds of animals, so, like, mostly birds, because that's what they are, the Bird Watching Society and stuff. It was a really good book. I really liked it. Those books are really good. They're usually not really boring. I think there was only, like, one I didn't like, and I think that was it. This one is a tea shop mystery. This is the Dragonwell Dead, and it's by Laura Childs, and I don't really like these books. I think this is the last book I have. They really just didn't, like, draw me in, this series. And it's about this woman, Theodosia or something, but they call her Theo for short. And she has this, tea shop, where she owns it, and she has her friends there, and they have, like, tea, like, how in England they have, like, high tea and stuff. Well, that's kind of like what they do, but it's like a tea shop where you can have your tea, and then they have, like, snacks to go with the tea and stuff. This is what it looks like. And they go to this spring plantation rumble, something like that, where they're auctioning off different flowers, and this one guy wants this rare orchid so that he could enter it into, like, the different competitions and stuff. And here, when the guy wins it, he dies from one of Theo, I'm not even saying him, I can't even say it, Theo's friend's tea, sweet tea, the Dragonwell sweet tea, that's why it's called that. And she has to prove that the guy who really wanted it didn't kill him just to take his orchid, and that her tea didn't kill anybody, stuff like that. And they're just okay. Like, they weren't, like, to me, they weren't great. I mean, I have a lot of books that are, like, a mystery series, like the Blue Hill Library one, Annie's Attic Mysteries, this one, there's another series that I got. But this one, it's just, like, this series, for some reason, it just never really interested me. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because, like, I mean, I can drink tea, iced tea, hot tea, but I'm not really, like, a tea drinker. That might be it. I don't know. So, the next book is another series of the Blue Hill Library series. It's called The Not So Civil War. It's by Emily Thomas, and this is what it looks like. And it's about the Civil War reenactment happening in their town, and her friends, or these elderly ladies, Betty and Nellie, are sisters, and they have a Civil War pistol, a gun, from their one of their, like, relatives, great relatives. And the one sister went on a trip to sell it and didn't tell the other sister, and they start fighting. And Annie's trying to track it down to see where it ends up and stuff like that, because the person that bought it died or something, and then somebody took it and stuff like that. It was a really good book. I really liked it, and you learn a lot about the Civil War, kind of. Just, like, not a lot, like it's a long history book, but you learn some things about Civil War as the book goes on, which is really good. The one thing I do have to say, though, is that usually these books are really colorful, and this one was, like, a grayish, bluish color, but that's the only thing that I felt like was wrong about it. But this book was okay, and I don't know if it's because, I mean, I'm gonna say it straight, I'm not, a very religious person. I mean, I know stuff about the Bible. I know, like, some of the disciples. I know about Jesus and Moses and God and Adam and Eve and stuff like that. But I know just a little bit about the character in this book. And this book was, I think it came out around, like, Easter. And I really wanted to read it because I like reading about, like, Christian stuff. And this is a novel by Angela Hunt based on a screenplay by Andrew Hyatt, something like that. And it's called Paul, Apostle of Christ. And this is what it looks like. There's Paul and there's Luke. And it's basically about this guy named Paul. I know in the Bible, I don't know a lot about what a lot of stuff about what he did in the Bible. I just know that I think this was it was his name was Saul, and this was after Jesus died. I don't know how many years it was after he died, or if it was right after he died, I don't know. And it was this guy named Saul, and he was really mean to the Christians, stuff like that. And then when he went into the desert, I don't know if it was God or Jesus or something, showed him a vision or something, and he turned blind. But then when he turned good again, and he was helping the Christians and stuff like that, I think he got his eyesight back, and then he changed his name to Paul instead of Saul because of all the misery that came from that name. And so this book is basically about Paul and Luke. And Paul is in jail. This is, Nero is the emperor of Rome, takes place in Rome. And Nero is blaming the Christians for the great fire in Rome. And really everybody knows that Nero really did it, and he blames Paul for this. And Luke every day comes to see him. And through this one proctor is helping him see Paul, and eventually Paul's supposed to die on the summer solstice, which is June 21st. And so basically each chapter it says like festival of, it was like JANIUS or something like that, and then it would say like 10 days left or whatever, something like that. And sorry guys, there was like a little notification that came up, and I don't know if they pop up on the screen as you're watching, I don't know. But anyway, so Paul decides, I don't know if it was Paul or Luke. Luke wrote a book already about what happened with Jesus and stuff. And then Paul, I think it was Paul, I'm not sure, decides to write his story, Paul's story. So Luke and Paul, Paul is telling Luke his story, and then he's writing notes, and then later on, he's going, like in the morning or whatever, he uses the notes and writes Paul's story. And as this is going on, a lot of things are happening. This orphan boy, they kill this orphan boy, Christian orphan boy. Christians are being burned at the Circus Maximus, stuff like that, and finally they've had enough. So they decide that when Paul dies, they're going to leave Rome and stuff. And Paul, that's my dog, if you can hear her, like, she wants to go downstairs, but there's nobody down there, so she wants to go down there, and so she can get in trouble. But anyway, that's what happens, and Paul dies, and then then Luke writes the rest of Paul's story, because they didn't really finish his story. And Luke's trying to tell him, like, oh, your story's not done yet, just when you're, dead or whatever, something like that. But it was a really good book. I mean, if you really don't like religious stuff, then don't read it. But I liked it. I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, you do have to know a little bit about history, like about Nero, the emperor of Rome, and about the Great Fire and stuff. But other than that, that's it. So this book, when I got it, I did not know it was an erotic novel. I didn't see that at the top of the book. And when I picked it up and I seen it, I was like, oh, it's an erotic book. And when I seen this at a book, so this book I've had for a long time on my bookshelf to read. And I thought, oh, Anne Rice. This, she writes about vampires, if you didn't know, and thought, oh, this is probably going to be like an adult version, not like a sex version, but like an adult version of, or a remake of Sleeping Beauty, because it's called The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, and then I seen at the top says, the first of the acclaimed series of the erotic adventures of Sleeping Beauty. I thought, oh, yeah, so this is what it looks like. I did not read a lot of this book, and the reason why, and I don't know if it's because it was like a Disney copyright thing, but she never used like Aurora, the name of Sleeping Beauty, or Prince Philip, her prince. It was always the prince or Beauty or Sleeping Beauty or something like that. And there wasn't, I don't know how far, I don't remember how far I got in the book. I didn't finish it. And the reason why is because it just got so disgusting. It was basically, the prince was gonna take her to his kingdom so that he could teach her how to be a proper woman and then send her back to her parents so that they could marry her off later on. And, it was basically a weird book where he was mostly getting people like this barmaid and himself were always slapping her. And like a child, like when you spank a child, that's kind of like what it was. And it was just a weird, like, I just can't get into it. Like, this book was like, it was kind of like, it was just weird, to be honest. Like, it wasn't even good. I don't know. So this is a good book. This is called The Ghost of Gettysburg. It's not really like a book. It's like a little mini book. It's The Ghost of Gettysburg, and it's by Mark Nesbitt. This is what it looks like. And it's basically about this, town in Pennsylvania where I always wanted to go because I always love watching, like, the battle walks on TV and stuff where they do it every, like, July. And this is about it's about some of the ghosts that are in Gettysburg. Like, from the battlefields and some of the houses and stuff. It was a really good book. I really liked it. There are pictures and stuff. I really liked it. There was one that I knew about, and I really liked to read about it, and it was really good. It was like on the last page, but yeah, it was really good. And he tells you about obviously, like, the rangers in this park can't really say, that this is really haunted and stuff. But he does really go into, like, the history of these ghosts and stuff. And then he also has the park rangers experiences, some of the park rangers experiences, stuff like that. 2 more books to go. This one is a 2-in-1 book. It's called Right Next Door. It's by Debbie Macomber. This is what it looks like. These 2 books, the first story was called Father's Day, and the second one was called The Courtship of Carol Summers. The first book was about this woman who has this son, and they move into a real house because they've been living in an apartment. And her husband died when her son was really young, and the first night they sleep outside. And Jeff, her son, really wants a dog because, like, oh, we have this house now and I can get a dog now. And his mother is saying no because, they just bought this house. It was a lot of money, and a dog is a lot of money too. So what happens is this dog comes in from the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor, his name is Cole, he is like a mean guy. Like, he doesn't want to have anything to do with these people, anything. But then Cole lets the little boy take care of his dog while he goes away, and that's like the turning point in the story. Now, the one thing I do have to say about is the first book, it was only nine chapters, and it really didn't have a good ending. Like, it was an open-ended ending, basically, because you're supposed to assume what happens, because there was no epilogue in it, and it didn't say what happens, like, later on. So this book really was, the first story in the book was a real bust, because it doesn't really explain a lot about what happened. Like, I don't want to say what happens, because it's not really like the ending, but you're supposed to assume that this is what happens. So the courtship of Carol Summers was basically about the same thing, but it was about the Carol was like a nurse who, I think, yeah, she was like a nurse who did like the Lamaze for the pregnant women and helped them during delivery and stuff. And her husband died in like a car accident or something. And her son is a teenager, and she's falling for his friend's dad, basically. And she really doesn't want to, because he's not telling her what happened to she's not telling him what happened to her husband, and he really wants to know, and he's not trying to rush her, but he's rushing her anyway, stuff like that. But this book does have an epilogue, so it does have a conclusion where it's like the whole story comes together. It was a really good book. I really liked it. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the first book was like, ugh, but the second one was good. So this book you're going to be seeing a lot of, because this book has 6 classic of suspense books in it. And I was going to read the whole thing, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just read like one or two per book review. And the first book in this set was Rebecca, and I forget what the name, hold on. It's by Daphne du Maurier or something like that. I don't know how you say her name. And the first book in this series, like, my mom read it, and she said, oh, this Rebecca, it's such a good book. It wasn't. To me, it wasn't. I can't show you what the book looks like because it's just a black cover. Like, I guess whoever got rid of it couldn't find the dust jacket to it or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Rebecca, it wasn't a good book. It was about this woman who marries this guy, and it's his second wife. And when they go to live at the house where he lives, this great big mansion where he lives, she finds like the people are like comparing her to the first wife and stuff, and then the guy like towards the end of the book tells her what really happened to Rebecca, and then Rebecca's cousin, male cousin, that she was having like a marital affair with or something, comes in and says this isn't how she died. And then then it's kind of like a mystery book. It really wasn't like, oh, like it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. It really wasn't that good of a book to me. I don't know why. I just really didn't get into it at all. I mean, I thought it was like a regular book. It felt like a V.C. Andrews book, to be honest with you. The way the storyline dwelt and stuff. But other than that, you'll be seeing a lot more of this book, because there's 5 more in this book to read. So I'll see you guys next time with another video. Comment below and tell me some of your books you want me to read or review, or books you recommend. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.